On an alternate Earth where everyone gains a superpower at 18, Jen, now 25, still hasn't discovered hers, leaving her bitter. During a job interview, the boss's truth-compelling ability forces her to reveal embarrassing facts, costing her the job. That night, Jen meets up with her casual partner Luke. After they're done, Luke waits for Jen to head to the bathroom, then flies out the window, making her feel unappreciated. The next day, Jen's roommate, Carrie, works at a law firm using her power to let the dead temporarily possess her body, helping lawyers solve cases. However, clients often blame her for interfering. In the afternoon, Jen finds a stray cat outside and brings it inside. She catches Carrie's boyfriend, Cash, trying on a homemade superhero costume and teases him. Embarrassed, Cash uses his ability to rewind time and shuts the door before Jen can see him. When Carrie comes home, she vents about clients mistreating her. Jen suggests quitting, but Carrie feels obligated to support Cash until he finds a job. To lighten the mood, Carrie channels Hitler so they can mock him. Later, she goes on a date with Gordon, whose touch causes instant pleasure. Determined to prove his worth without using his power, Gordon wears gloves and keeps a pillow barrier between them while sleeping. That night, Cash and Carrie are confronted by an invisible mugger who snatches Carrie's phone. Instead of rewinding time, Cash throws his wallet at the man and grabs Carrie, running away. The adrenaline rush excites Cash, inspiring him to pursue superheroism. The next morning, Jen considers touching Gordon to see his reaction, but the cat jumps on the bed first, accidentally triggering Gordon's power and startling him awake. Disgusted, Gordon leaves, declaring their incompatibility. At breakfast, Jen, Carrie, and Cash decide to keep the cat and name him Jizzlord due to the incident. That evening, Jen takes a cab to her half-sister's birthday party. The driver, who can predict death, warns her to beware of bears but refuses to provide details. During the ride, Jen receives a call from her father, reminding her to be a good sister. At her half-sister Andy's 18th birthday party, Jen reunites with her mom, Mary, who can control technology but struggles to do so, and Ian, her partner, who senses emotions. Jen sparks an argument by suggesting Andy might not develop powers, forcing Ian to calm everyone down. When Andy blows out the candles, nothing happens at first, and Jen smirks until Andy tears the fridge door off. Thrilled by her new super strength, Andy begins showing off, making Jen leave while drinking. Frustrated, Jen decides to confront Luke, who's been ignoring her messages. She finds him having dinner with a woman who can shapeshift but rarely does, suggesting she's naturally beautiful, much to Jen's annoyance. After dinner, Luke takes the woman flying. Determined not to be outdone, Jen insists he fly her as well, but the ride is short, and Luke leaves her on the street saying their relationship can't work if she doesn't love herself. Upset, Jen calls her dad for comfort. When she arrives home, it's revealed her father is dead, and Carrie occasionally summons his ghost to support Jen. The next day, Jen and Carrie visit the Discovery Clinic, hoping to find treatments to awaken Jen's powers. However, the procedures are too expensive. That night, while Jen sleeps, Jizzlord briefly transforms into a human, but reverts to a cat before she notices. Desperate to unlock her powers, Jen attempts to induce stress by eating the spiciest dish at a restaurant with friends. Unable to handle the heat, she rushes to a store and downs a bottle of milk. Unfortunately, this happens in front of Luke and security cameras, adding to her embarrassment. The following day, Carrie drags Jen to the dentist for another stress-inducing attempt. Jen tries to escape, but Carrie forces her inside, where they hear eerie music. The dentist's power makes people generate soundtracks based on their emotions. When the dentist gently examines her, Jen's soundtrack shifts from ominous to calming, until she learns she needs fillings, causing the music to become frightening again. The dentist sedates Jen to ease her anxiety. Meanwhile, Cash contacts an agency to post an ad seeking superheroes. In another room, Jizzlord briefly turns human again, struggling to walk upright. Scratching at the door for attention, he reverts to a cat before Cash sees him. After her appointment, a groggy Jen stumbles outside with Carrie when a masked man suddenly grabs her and stuffs her into a car trunk. It's Cash and Carrie staging a fake kidnapping to trigger Jen's powers. Leaving Jen to stew, they stop for lunch. Still woozy, Jen leaves Luke a voicemail confessing her love. Distracted, Cash and Carrie fail to notice the car being towed until it's too late. Panicked, Carrie calls Jen, asking for her pinned location. Cash confesses the car belongs to his mother, and without a license, he can't legally retrieve it. They sneak into the impound lot but realize they forgot the car key. As the effects of Jen's sedation wear off, she begins to panic. With no other option, they call Andy, who smugly demands Jen ask nicely. Jen fakes politeness, and Andy easily tears off the trunk hood. Jen tries to fight her, but Carrie separates them. Suddenly, a car horn sounds. Mary and Ian have arrived to pick them up. While Mary scolds Jen, she remembers leaving Luke a voicemail and begs her mom to delete it. Mary tries but accidentally plays the message through the car speakers. Embarrassed, Jen follows Andy's advice to spam Luke with text to distract him from the voicemail. At home, Jen takes provocative photos to send Luke, but panics when Jizzlord suddenly transforms into a man. Shocked, she runs out of the room, briefly wondering if she can turn animals human by flashing them. Her friends come in, and the man explains he's a shapeshifter who got stuck in cat form and has amnesia. Overjoyed that humans can see his real face again, he hugs Cash. The trio continues calling him Jizzlord as they ask questions, discovering he's been a cat for about 3 years. Jen decides they'll take care of him until he regains his memory. Later, Jen receives a text from Luke, who saw her pictures but also heard the voicemail, leaving him confused. That night, curious about her supposed power, Jen tests it by flashing a dog during a walk, but nothing happens. Unfortunately, the dog's owner sees her, making the situation awkward. The next morning, Jizzlord struggles with basic household items due to his long time as a cat, meaning he'll need help adjusting. Meanwhile, Carrie channels the soul of a famous singer who rejects a contract for elevator music on cruise ships and instead wants to return to the industry. After the meeting, the manager offers Carrie a job channeling dead celebrities to make them sing again, which she eagerly accepts. At the recording studio, Carrie calls Jen for moral support, promising to pay her. Inspired, Jen arrives pretending to be Carrie's manager, negotiating a lucrative deal. When recording begins, Carrie channels the desired singer, only to discover he's difficult to work with and highly misogynistic. The ghost asks Jen to help him remember his lyrics. After he vanishes, Carrie looks up his music and discovers it's racist and misogynistic. Uncomfortable with the job, she wants to quit, but Jen persuades her to stay for the money. Hoping the ghost's poor memory won't notice, Carrie alters the lyrics to be less offensive. Unfortunately, the singer hates the changes and causes a scene, leading to both Carrie and Jen getting fired. At home, Cash interviews candidates for his superhero team. Seb can summon sea creatures, though he can't control them, but his wealthy background gets him recruited. Aide, who can pass through solid objects, gets his hand stuck in a wall but is still accepted. A woman with magnet powers attracts everything in the house, leading Cash to reject her, along with a guy who turns objects into PDFs and another whose eye lasers are useless. Randall demonstrates his ability to 3D print objects with his backside by creating a small figurine. Lastly, Gregor shows off his super speed by retrieving a postcard from the British Museum in a second. Before the team's first meeting, Jizzlord presents Cash with a dead pigeon. Worried he'll embarrass him, Cash sends Jizzlord grocery shopping. Overwhelmed by the store, Jizzlord faints upon seeing female products. A clerk helps him and gives him a book on women's anatomy to explain the products. During the superhero meeting, Gregor takes over writing on the board and contributes many ideas, making Cash feel like Gregor is trying to steal his leadership role. After Randall 3D prints a marker, the group discusses how they'd act if they saved a woman. Gregor argues he should lead because he respects women, while Cash claims his knowledge of anatomy makes him a better leader. Seb draws a diagram of female anatomy on the board and asks Cash to find the happy spot. When Cash struggles, Jizzlord arrives and helps him, securing Cash's position as leader. When Carrie and Jen return home, they hear strange noises and discover Cash and Jizzlord playing a game they made with the female products, so they join in. Later, the magnet woman returns to retrieve her umbrella and accidentally sticks to Jizzlord, revealing he has a microchip. The group decides to visit Dr. Doolittle, a vet who can communicate with animals. Due to constant noise from animal cries, Doolittle wears headphones for peace. He quickly locates Jizzlord's microchip and provides the address of his former owner. Later, while Cash and Carrie are getting intimate, Cash receives a text from his team about a mission. He pauses to tell Carrie they can continue another time, hurting her feelings. Using his power, Cash rewinds time to say something nicer, but he still leaves, leaving Carrie disappointed. Carrie, frustrated, begins cleaning Jen's room. Jen realizes Cash hasn't satisfied Carrie in a while. As Jen finds Luke's sock and Gordon's glove, she suggests Carrie visit Gordon for help. Carrie refuses, not wanting to cheat. Jen and Jizzlord visit the microchip owner's address, only to find the owner is dead. Hearing Tito, a barking Pomeranian, Jizzlord recognizes the dog as evil. They decide to steal Tito and take him to Doolittle, who translates the dog's message. Tito hates Jizzlord and will only share information if they give him a perfect day out. Doolittle, needing a break, joins them. They take Tito to a club where he enjoys attention from women. The group drinks and takes uppers. Jen and Jizzlord get a private dance from a woman who duplicates herself, making them uncomfortable, so they hold hands for support. Doolittle gets too drunk, harasses the dancers, and gets them kicked out. Tito, now happy, reveals he used to see Jizzlord in an alley behind a famous pub. As they release Tito, he steps into the street and is hit by a car. Jen and Jizzlord search the alley for clues. Jizzlord surprises himself by reciting the pub's menu. Jen suggests they talk to the landlady, but Jizzlord panics and runs away. Meanwhile, Cash's superhero team tries to help a woman but ends up scaring her, activating her goo powers. When a man locked out of his apartment asks for help, Aid removes his clothes to use his power, but gets stuck halfway through the wall with his rear exposed. Gregor leaves Cash to help Aid and takes the others to a bar. Soon, Gregor calls Cash for help. Cash arrives to find the team in a bar fight. Gregor asks him to rewind time, but Cash's 10-second limit isn't enough. When a thug approaches Cash, he pretends not to know the team and runs away. At home, Carrie, frustrated with her lack of fulfillment, visits Gordon to return his glove. Crying, she asks for his help, but when Gordon reaches out, Carrie confesses she can't go through with it. To make amends, she calls Gordon a hero for helping her, which boosts his confidence and inspires him to help other women. While Carrie reconnects with Cash, Jen finds Jizzlord outside their apartment and shares that the pub lead was a dead end. They bond over their fears of discovering their true identities, but just as they grow closer, Luke texts Jen asking about his sock. The next day, Aid remains stuck in the wall, exposed to passersby. Meanwhile, Jen and Carrie attend their former high school for Andy's graduation. Carrie imagines having her perfect graduation. When another student's mother, Mary, approaches the family, she falsely claims Jen can read minds. The lie backfires when Jen laughs as the woman attempts to telepathically share that a teacher has died. Ian senses someone nearby is distressed, so he blindfolds himself to enhance his power. Frustrated, Jen drags Carrie into a closet where they find alcohol they hid years ago. Their drinking is interrupted by Rebecca, a former bully who is now kind and works as a teacher. Rebecca explains that her power allows her to revisit memories, making her realize her past cruelty and inspiring her to change. Skeptical, Jen demands money as an apology, which Rebecca pays. Rebecca notices Carrie's tension and invites her for tea in the staff room. Alone, Rebecca reveals that Jen was often a bad friend to Carrie, proving it by showing old memories. On the day Carrie was supposed to receive an award, Jen made her stay for support while she took a pregnancy test. During graduation, Jen borrowed Carrie's gown to hide the fact she dropped out, returning it too late and ruining Carrie's photo. Rebecca urges Carrie to stand up for herself. Meanwhile, Jen hides in the bathroom drinking and overhears Andy talking to her ex-girlfriend. Andy admits she lied about getting into the conservatoire and that her super strength caused the breakup. After the ex leaves, Jen confronts Andy, who agrees to do anything if Jen keeps the secret. Back at the party, Jen forces Andy to do the family dance, embarrassing her in front of everyone. Then, Jen hands Andy an awkward speech to read during the award ceremony. Humiliated, Andy retaliates by mocking Jen, who in frustration blurts out Andy's secrets. Heartbroken, Andy runs away in tears, and Ian realizes the distressed person he sensed was his daughter. Carrie steps up to give her speech, but the argument between Jen's family in the next room is loud enough to be heard in the auditorium. Distracted, Carrie leaves to hide in the bathroom, where Jen soon appears, ranting about her life. Finally fed up, Carrie snaps, calling Jen out for her selfishness and reminding her that lacking powers doesn't excuse her behavior. The argument escalates, causing Carrie to run away, leaving Jen crying alone. At the apartment, Jizzlord finds Cash feeling down in the bathtub, guilty about his behavior the night before. To cheer him up, Jizzlord brushes his hair and shows him videos of penguins falling over. However, while browsing, they stumble upon a viral video of Cash fleeing from the fight, sinking Cash's mood even further. In the days that follow, Jen and Carrie refuse to speak to each other, forcing Jizzlord to act as their go-between. One morning, Jen notices red dots on various items around the apartment, discovering that Carrie has labeled her belongings to prevent Jen from using them. Since Jen rarely buys household items, she's left with only a red onion for breakfast. Determined to discover her power, Jen visits the Discovery Clinic. While filling out forms, she meets Hannah, another young woman without powers. They bond over their shared experiences and head to a bar. Spotting a woman who can change her hair color, their bitterness leads them to cut her ponytail in the bathroom, thinking her power will allow it to grow back. Unfortunately, they realize they've targeted the wrong woman and flee the scene. Back at the apartment, Carrie discovers Cash's viral video and advises him to apologize to his friends to make amends. Inspired, Cash sets off to find his teammates. Meanwhile, Jizzlord seizes the opportunity to ask Carrie why she and Jen are fighting. As Carrie vents, she comes across their puzzle collection and reminisces about the good times they shared completing puzzles together, regretting that they never finished them. When Jen returns home, she announces that she has a new best friend and claims ownership of the Jigsaw collection. In retaliation, Carrie refuses to summon Jen's dad anymore. Meanwhile, Cash visits Seb, who is planning to move to Florida to escape the fallout from their last fight. Cash apologizes and gives Seb some chocolate, bringing him to tears. Touched, Seb hugs Cash and asks to join him in reuniting the team. Next, they visit Aid, who accepts Cash's apology and agrees to help rebuild the team. Their final stop is Gregor's place, but they discover that Gregor and Randall have teamed up with other rejects. Gregor mocks Cash and the old team, prompting an angry Cash to challenge him to a fight. With his super speed, Gregor easily defeats Cash. Determined to win, Cash rewinds time and punches Gregor the moment he opens the door. Cash invites Randall to join the team. Meanwhile, Jen is surprised to hear that Hannah no longer wants to visit the clinic. The two spend the day having fun and joke about forming a support group for people without powers, shooting toy darts at flying individuals. When Luke flies past, Jen hides the toy gun, upsetting Hannah. To make amends, Jen agrees to sneak into the clinic, where they vandalize the offices, and Jen even relieves herself on a desk. Suddenly, Hannah discovers she can teleport. Although Jen feels jealous, Hannah assures her their friendship won't change, until a guard appears and Hannah vanishes, leaving Jen behind. Later, Jen finds out through social media that Hannah is spending time with Luke, which upsets her. Jizzlord encourages her to reconcile with Carrie, mentioning that Carrie wants to finish their puzzle. Jen visits Carrie, and although their initial interaction is awkward, they gradually rebuild their friendship while working on the puzzle. The next day, Carrie takes Jen to the clinic to complete her paperwork. Determined to be more considerate, Jen asks about Carrie's problems. Carrie confesses that Cash's reunion with his team has strained their relationship. To afford the treatment, Jen tries selling her eggs but finds no buyers. Watching Jizzlord inspires her to enter him in a cat show, hoping his human intelligence will secure a win. However, Jizzlord refuses, fearing he might get stuck in cat form. Meanwhile, Carrie returns to work, where she channels Charles II, who flirts with her. Intrigued, she later summons him at home and spends the afternoon chatting, showing him her reflection through a mirror. Feeling flattered, Carrie later plans a date with Cash, but he cancels due to a mission. Disappointed, she takes Charles to a museum, where he admires his portraits and flirts with her. Carrie almost kisses the painting but is stopped by a guard. Back home, Jen screams upon discovering Jizzlord has eaten cat food to transform back into a cat, leaving a recording agreeing to participate in the cat show. At the registration, Jen uses the name from Jizzlord's microchip, exciting everyone because the cat was once popular in the contest. Watching old show videos, Jen learns that Jizzlord's talent used to be dancing. However, Jizzlord doesn't understand her attempts to teach him, making Jen consider quitting. Listening to Jizzlord's supportive message renews her determination, and she devises a plan. During the performance, Jen tries to get Jizzlord to jump through a hoop, but he refuses. Thinking quickly, Jen begins dancing herself, prompting Jizzlord to transform into his human form and join her. They deliver an entertaining performance, but the judges disapprove, and they have to leave. As they exit, Jizzlord apologizes, but Jen silences him with a kiss. In an abandoned building, Cash's team searches for dealers but finds Gregor's team already there. An argument breaks out until footsteps are heard, prompting everyone to hide in a cupboard. Hours pass as no one wants to leave, especially Cash, who refuses to share the victory. The others tease him for prioritizing his ego over his date. Meanwhile, at the apartment, Carrie enjoys dinner with Charles II, but their moment is interrupted when Cash arrives, announcing he's quitting the superhero life. Carrie is happy until Cash reverts to spending his time on pizza and YouTube, making her question their compatibility. The next day, newspapers report that both teams collaborated to defeat the dealers. Jen wakes up to find Jizzlord painting the bedroom wall, assuming they're now a couple. Jen explains that things are moving too quickly, then chats with Carrie. After reconnecting with her dad, Jen advises Carrie to be honest with Cash. Carrie attempts to break up with him, but Cash surprises her by throwing a party in her honor, delaying the conversation. At the party, Carrie is moved by Cash's thoughtful decorations, but Jen reminds her to stand up for herself. Jen is then stunned to see Mary at the party, criticizing the room and Jen's appearance. Frustrated, Jen redirects Mary to another guest, who turns out to be a cooler, more confident Gordon. As Mary mingles, she ends up talking to Jizzlord, who mentions that Jen can't afford the clinic. Hurt that Jen didn't confide in her family, Mary feels betrayed. Meanwhile, Carrie finally tells Cash that she feels more like his mother than his girlfriend. Cash asks how to fix it, and Carrie suggests he get a job. Using his power to rewind time, Cash pretends to arrange a job interview, impressing Carrie. Once she leaves, Cash panics with Randall, revealing he's been avoiding the breakup talk. Having stayed awake for 28 hours, Cash has rewound time repeatedly to prevent Carrie from breaking up with him. Randall hands him an energy drink to maintain his power, and the duo heads out to buy more cans. Jen spots them from afar but is distracted when she bumps into Luke, who's concerned because she's been ignoring his texts. Suddenly, Jizzlord interrupts, introducing himself as Jen's boyfriend. Annoyed, Jen pulls him aside, saying their relationship is moving too fast and they need a break. At that moment, Cash approaches to tell Jen that someone is in her room. Rushing upstairs, Jen is shocked to find her mom hacking into her computer. Jen and Mary argue about their rocky relationship, but tensions ease when they discuss Jen's late father. Feeling guilty, Jen asks Mary to stay. Meanwhile, Cash tries to dance with Carrie, who notices a wilted flower in his pocket, realizing he's been rewinding time excessively. Carrie hides with Jen, venting about Cash, unaware that Jizzlord is leaving the apartment for good. Jen mentions the energy drinks, so Carrie pours them down the toilet while Jen distracts Cash. Despite rewinding multiple times, Cash can't stop Carrie from breaking up with him. Luke offers to take Jen flying, but when he refuses to touch her in front of others, they step outside. He begins complaining about Jizzlord, and Jen realizes he's jealous. Defending Jizzlord, she recognizes her true feelings and breaks up with Luke. Unable to find Jizzlord, Jen runs through the rain, apologizing to a cat and asking him to be her boyfriend. Suddenly, Jizzlord appears behind her, and they share a passionate kiss before returning to the party, where Jen introduces him as her boyfriend. Mary wants to help Jen afford the clinic, but it's too expensive. Gordon steps in, offering to cover the cost since his services have made him wealthy. Overjoyed, the girls hug, and Jizzlord hugs Gordon, accidentally staining his pants. The next morning, Jizzlord goes grocery shopping, where a young girl points at him, calling him her dad. Her mother drops her groceries in shock, recognizing Jizzlord's face.